For analysis, we are joined via Skype by Professor Kwena Masha, Registrar at the University of Limpopo. Prof, welcome to SABC News Channel SA. Today, I'm not quite sure whether you got the conversation, Matlaku, we had there with her a short while ago with her guests. There are still some concerns with some students, TVET colleges, and I'm sure at universities as well. What is your take on that and that of the Minister today after his media briefing?
Good afternoon and good afternoon to the viewers. Thanks for this opportunity. I think I did hear the conversation. Their fears, anxieties are understood. But first, I think we must clarify that in the context of higher education, we expecting the department to give some sort of high-level directives or guidelines that allow institutions and to bring their differences into the interpretation and implementation of those directives. So lots of details will come from individual institutions once they have interrogated and interpreted the statements that the minister have given. But I must say that we were very much happy in terms of the way this has gone. For a number of reasons. One, that by linking the repatriation or the return of students to the lockdown and clarifying that allows us as institutions to really have time to plan and make sure that those students return safely to campuses that are safe and have been well prepared. So that period, for example, of 2 to 3 weeks, that's very, very, very essential. It allows us to turn our plans that we have been developing over time. But again, also, institutions like us, especially at the University of Limpopo, where we have quite a significant number of NSFAS students, it was reassuring that that process of how we're going to deal with procurement of gadgets, I think is almost at the end now. And we just hope that indeed that comes to the finalization. And then the issue, the only issue that really is a little bit of pending is the issue on international students. But we still feel like if the president continues to make the announcements in terms of the levels at least a week before the implementation, then together with the period that the minister has outlined, then we will have sufficient time to engage with students who are coming outside the country. And hopefully they won't struggle to go through the borders. So I think we'll still be finding a way of clarifying that with other departments. But in terms of the campus preparations and so on, I think they've been spot on. The things that have been announced are some of the things that our campuses have already been working on, and we are very happy with that. So once again, in terms of assisting us with planning, I think the ministry did what they were supposed to do, and we are very happy with that. The issue of the missing middle, of course, is still a little bit of a thorny issue, but the clarity on NSFAS allows us at least now to find and spend more time trying to say how do we assist the missing middle. And we hope we will be able to really go a long way with the plans that have been announced today. And the students are going to, of course, we're going to be clarifying this and engaging them from our individual institutions so that the specifics that they think that they are missing, I think it is up to us as individual universities to clarify those.
Okay, whilst we're speaking about the students, in particular, you mentioned international students, the local students too have to travel, for example. Letters are expected to be given to those, a student, for example, from Cape Town or from Pietermaritzburg or from the Northwest Province or from Northern Cape. How accessibility, now transport getting to you, how are we expecting to do that? How do you know whether the Department of Transport will somehow get involved? Will they get transportation from the various corners of the country to get to you? And in particular, international students, as it stands, the airspace has been closed. They can't fly in. How are you expected to get them on campuses on time?
That's why I was saying that for now the minister was clarifying that they will give 2 to 3 weeks period. And but I was saying, in addition to that, if the president sticks to making the announcements in terms of the levels, at least a week before they are implemented, then we have about an additional week to make sure that those students that are affected can make it to the campuses. But we also expect that the Ministry of Transport and others will also be of assistance once these pronouncements are made. And if we look at how the medical students are being repatriated back to campuses, that gives you some indication in terms of how the 33% can be assisted.
How is that happening?
There will be time. Again?
How are those being assisted? How are they being repatriated back to varsity?
The thing is, they were given, there was a regulation that says these kinds of students will be allowed to travel. Mm-hmm. So that even through their public transport, they are being accommodated there. And the pronouncements was made in such a way that they are given a period of traveling in between the provinces. So we hope that will continue to happen.
Okay, Prof, another question is, currently as it stands, are you confident that the academic year can be saved for 2020?
We are very confident. We have been doing the permutations as part of our planning. And though it could be, there is likelihood that we will go into a month or two into 2021. But we are very, very confident and that we have allocated sufficient time that takes into account the anticipated adjustments to what we are experiencing now. So we are very confident. In fact, the plans are such that we will complete this academic year successfully.
Now, someone who's obviously dealing with students on a daily basis, how are the plans being and the challenges that you've had and identified with your online learning? One, two, most of your students, I'm not going to say all of them because I don't think every single student has been able to study online. How has that come about so far in the 58 days since lockdown began?
That's where the institutions are very different. And in our case, as I said, we're having almost 80% NSFAS students and quite a number of them coming from the rural areas of Limpopo. So issues of connectivity have been raised as a challenge, potential challenge, and also the issue of gadgets, but that is being addressed with what the minister has said. So that has been really the biggest challenge. But again, of course, when we look into our postgraduate students, there are different types of projects, and some were affected by the lockdowns. And but we in our plans we have accommodated all those kinds of unfortunate incidences. And when I say we are very optimistic that we will deliver this academic year, we feel like we are allocating sufficient time to it to be able to address all those things.
With regards to the procurement
but we must
those
acknowledge everybody is adjusting.
Sorry, Prof, carry on.
No, I was just saying, but we must acknowledge that it is an adjustment for all of us.
Just on the point of procurement rather of gadgets, how far are we with that? Again, it's a sticky one because South Africa, we all know the challenge that we have, and not everyone, although a lot of students will be saying we should have been having laptops, should be getting data. How far are we with procuring the necessary gadgets for your students in particular to be able to not only study online moving forward, but class-to-class basis, those who are coming back, they'll obviously need those gadgets when they return to class. How far are we, and what is the percentage-wise and as far as your students concerned?
This is where we working closely with the Department of Higher Education officials, and you heard the minister saying that they are just waiting for something for approval from Treasury, so that we then really go into the actual concrete activities of getting the gadgets across and so on. So I think we will be able to say in around Tuesday or Wednesday, be able to say this is actually the actual at that time. But we have accommodated in our specific plans, for example, we have accommodated that kind of period.
Prof Kwena Masha, thank you very much indeed for joining us right here on SABC News Channel, Registrar at the University of Limpopo, speaking about some of the challenges that the varsity has had.